Now, to what's really happening in our country. Israel, while has entered the heart of Gaza City last evening, where intense ground operations essentially continue, Israeli military has also warned that the time is running out to evacuate Gaza. On the other hand, we've essentially looked at how the G7 has been pushing for a pause in the war. While all of this is essentially happening, here in India, yet another attempt has been made by the lobbyists where they want to perhaps give that stage to pro-Hamas supporters. First, it was in the state of Kerala. Now, this has happened inside a campus in Mumbai, that too at the prestigious IIT Bombay. However, speaking to officials in IIT Bombay, they've distanced themselves from this theatre, from the movie screening that was actually taking place inside the campus. In fact, joining us on this trending burning question tonight are Vinay Joshi of the Legal Right Observative. We also have Omkar Mahadev Supekar, he's an IIT Bombay student, and Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, who's joining us on this broadcast. First, I would like to go across to Omkar Mahadev, a student who had actually objected to that screening that was actually taking place. While, remember, as per the guidelines of IIT Bombay, anything to do with the political in nature should not have essentially been screened. Omkar, first, for the benefit of our viewers, tell us, what did you witness? You also seem to have had an argument with the professor there. What is it that she had to say?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and good evening to all the viewers and giving me this opportunity to speak the truth and all the facts. Am I audible enough?
Yes.
Hello, am I audible?
I'm not too sure.
Yes.
There seems to be some problem with your video line.
Can you hear me?
Well, Omkar, we seem to be having some problem with your video line. We'll try and sort that out. But before we come back to you, while we try and fix your audio as well as video line, let me go across to Vinay Joshi. Vinay Joshi has also been tracking this very closely. Vinay Joshi, as the professor was basically hinting that, look here, he's a renowned filmmaker, and one should actually be able to perhaps put across their views on this entire matter. And this was about Palestine. This was not about Hamas. How would you essentially respond to the fact that there appears to be this entire mix-up of Hamas and Palestine? And the very fact that India has been very clear about its position.
Always vitiating political atmosphere on campus, and it has nothing to do with the technological research or technological education. So we were repeatedly demanding to Higher Education Ministry to immediately shut down these HSS departments, because all HSS departments acting within the campus of Indian Institute of Technologies all over the world, all over the India, are creating the atmosphere of political divide, hatred against indigenous people and incumbent governments. They have nothing to do with technological innovation, research, or educational field, and they actively participated in anti-CAA protest. They took hardline stand against all Hindu groups and organizations and indigenous culture, and they are not mistakenly mixing up Hamas and Palestine issue. They are deliberately mixing up the issue so as to create the confusion about terrorism and persecution. So we urge central government to immediately hand over the probe of IIT event to National Investigation Agency, the premium investigating agency in India, which investigates matters related to terrorism, because those professors involved in the arrangement and organization of latest event in IIT have direct contact with Hamas terror organization, their sympathizer network, their HR management machinery active all over the globe. And this is not simple issue that when Honorable Vice President of India was attending a program, Honorable Minister Dharmendra Pradhan was attending a program in IIT, same time, same location, they eulogized, they applauded fight back of Hamas, so-called fight back of Hamas against Israeli forces. Israeli defense forces are fighting tooth and nail against the terror
Let me
infrastructure
just, okay, Vinay,
rapidly grown within the Gaza Strip. They are hunting down the hostages, and at
okay,
the same time, premium technological institute like IIT and few elements of IIT are arranging the program to create an alibi for slaughtered they committed on Israeli soil on 7th of October. They slaughtered infants, they slaughtered elder
okay.
citizens, they
There is
abducted,
a
they
slight
kept them
difference here.
hostage. And
Vinay,
yes, yes,
okay, Vinay, the thing is that, they are essentially arguing, at least simply going by the video, I think so Omkar would be in a much better position to help us understand, because the professor concerned, at least from that alleged video, she's essentially saying that, look here, he's a renowned filmmaker, Omkar. If I'm not wrong, you were the same person who argued with the professor. What is it that you raised in terms of a concern? Because she is saying that this is not about Hamas. This is about Palestine, and the very fact that this movie or whatever screening was about to happen, this was largely about Palestine and what they've been calling the struggle, which the freedom struggle that they've been talking about, which of course he basically narrates that need not be a non-violent one. Almost every freedom struggle have had some violent aspect to it. I want to understand from you, Omkar, you were present, you were the student who argued with the professor. What really transpired?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Am I audible?
Yes, Omkar, go ahead.
Yes. So actually, there was an event which was organized parallelly by Professor Sharimshta Shah, who is a professor in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at IIT Bombay. And this event was happening when the Honorable Vice President of India was interacting with the students and faculties at IIT Bombay campus. And the event organized by Professor Shah was, it was under the pretext of a course which she conducts, that is HS 835, that is Performance Theory and Praxis. And under the pretext of that course, she invited Mr. Sudhanva Deshpande, who was about to give the introduction to the documentary which would have been screened there. And I also was one of the participants who went there to, listen what was this course about and what this documentary is about. And to my surprise, I was quite silent for first 10 minutes when Mr. Deshpande was giving his, introductory speech. And I got worried when he, accepted that in 2015, it was the first time that he got an opportunity to go to Palestine, and he has been there twice. And he also accepted that he has met one of the militant whose name is Zakaria Zubedi. And as you can see from various records and from various resources, that who was this Mr., I cannot call him Mr., but he was a militant, Zakaria Zubedi. So Zakaria Zubedi, was involved in 2002 Bet Shean attack, which killed, at least 6 civilians. And in his speech, Mr. Deshpande later on said that, I just, in verbatim quote him, that I was struck by what an incredible vision this man had. That is Zakaria Zubedi, who is a militant fighter and who has taken part in military army. And then he calls him, who is a legendary fighter of Palestine and also one of the main characters in the film that we will be seeing. So these kind of statements Mr. Deshpande made in front of the students in such an academic, institution, which is quite, surprising. And apart from this, he also continued. He also quoted another militant whose name is Ghassan Kanafani, and how Kanafani justified the tactics of violence and using the armed rebellion to seek the independence or the freedom movement. And he said that in order to have liberation, we need guns. We have to fight the occupation. It has to be an armed struggle. Though he has said that it should happen parallel with the peaceful movement, nevertheless it all sounded as if he's justifying the armed rebellion which is happening there right now. So I wonder that why IIT Bombay professors need this kind of pretexts, that they have to make this kind of statements which will brainwash the youngsters. The IIT Bombay students have come in the campus to study and seek their education. They have come from very grassroots levels. Their parents have struggled hard to make their dream true by sending their kids to the IIT Bombay. On the other hand, this kind of professors coming from the Department of Humanities, Social Sciences, and there's another department, which is Akanksh Desai Center for Policy Studies. So these professors, keep organizing these kind of events where students can be influenced through some of these courses, and it is unending thing. I'm very much worried about what kind of academic atmosphere is being polluted by this kind of deliberate attempts to brainwash and to influence the students by
That was
giving one-sided narratives.
Omkar, we seem to have lost your audio line. Omkar, thank you very much for at least telling us exactly what really happened. Yeah, Omkar, I'll just get one quick word from Atikur Rahman. He's an Islamic scholar. Atikur Rahman, you've heard both Vinay Joshi as well as Omkar. Now, the question here is that not about the curriculum per se, which Omkar seems to have also referred to. But the fact of the matter is that in the guise of academic, progress here, you're basically talking about, you're basically trying to introduce a thought line, a thought process that perhaps seems to be romanticizing with terror. You're talking about the Hamas, which has been exposed. You may constantly talk about the fact, why is Hamas not being designated as a terror group, etc., etc. But the fact of the matter is that we've seen what really happened on 7th of October, and no one has a doubt in their mind. And if that same thought process is perhaps theologized in campuses in India, then it certainly becomes far more dangerous.
Shravan, point number one is Omkar, I respect his views, but he is a student. He is not a faculty who sets the curriculum. And you are giving a very wide platform to only one side of the story. Is Omkar ready to have a debate with Professor Deshpande on your forum? Then we will have a complete objective view what exactly Professor Deshpande needs to say. Secondly, how can a student decide an objective view, a historical perspective which is held by a very seasoned professor? Mind you, the faculty, the professors, they have an in-depth knowledge of the affairs, whether it is Israel, Palestine, Hamas or anything. So students are not bound to create a ruckus. They need to question the professors if they are having any doubts. And nobody will be supporting terror, for God's sake. But I request you, Shravan, that this platform should be given to both objective point of view, whether it is of the student or the professor. And under no circumstances, terror should be given a free ground, a free hand. We are supporting Palestinian cause, not Hamas.
So let me get a...
That's point one, which should be very much clear
you are largely,
to everybody, Shravan.
Okay. Atikur Rahman, you're largely talking about the academic... You're largely talking about the academic rigor of it. Vinay Joshi and Omkar, a quick point from each one of you. Vinay, you've heard what Atikur Rahman is saying, that as far as when it comes to academic rigor, one would bring in multiple aspects, and especially at this stage in their life. Is it absolutely wrong to say that, if students are basically exposed to this kind of a thought process too, they would actually be able to understand for themselves? It is very different than what we saw in Malappuram. You can't equate what happened in Malappuram to what's happening at IIT Bombay. I think so that equation perhaps it may not be correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Vinay. First Vinay and then Omkar. Vinay, can you hear me? Vinay, Omkar, if you can hear me first, why don't you take that part first?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Omkar, you've heard what Atikur Rahman had to say, and then perhaps Vinay can also come in.
Yes, so actually, I quite, disagree with what Mr. Atikur Rahman said, that about what are my credentials and am I eligible to speak about what is happening, in the IIT Bombay campus, and what Mr. Deshpande has said. I just want to ask him a question back, that does he support militants like Zakaria Zubedi, who has accepted that he has killed 6 civilians? What would be his response? And should the students of IIT Bombay or any other universities be told that people like Zakaria Zubedi who are killing innocent civilians are legends? That is the question that I want to ask him. And second thing, I guess he needs to look at the facts that we are living in a democratic country and Mahatma Gandhi is our idol. We respect Mahatma Gandhi and his principle of non-violence.
Omkar, unfortunately, I'm really running short of time. Okay. Omkar, I'm really sorry, we are running short of time. Atikur Rahman, I would have given you the opportunity.
You just give me.
Okay, Omkar, make a quick point because Omkar, I'm really running short of time.
Yes. Thank you for the 10 seconds. See, India is the country of Buddha, Gandhi, and many noble people. Okay, so violence cannot be an idol for all of us to worship. Only the peaceful and non-violent movement should be the way. That's why Mr. Deshpande's, justification or glorification of Zakir Zubedi is absolutely wrong, and it should not be taught in the academic places. And this point should be understood by Mr. The esteemed panelist who was talking about me just 1 minute back. He has to understand that point.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, unfortunately, Atikur, I'm really sorry I don't have the time to, allow you for a response. But thank you very much, Atikur Rahman. We'll perhaps take this forward later on. Vinay Joshi and Omkar Mahadev for joining us on the Trending Burning Question. On the other side, the big debate with Editor-in-Chief Arnab Goswami.